Education showdown.
I'm not sure what's happening, but we cannot and will not play politics with our kids.
Contract talks between teachers and the province fall apart. Closing the book on literature.
The directives from the government seem to remove context, remove nuance.
Why kids in Edmonton won't get to read The Handmaid's Tale and dozens of other books. And so much for that wrinkled healthcare card in your wallet. Alberta is going digital.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. Just days before hundreds of thousands of students are set to go back to school in Alberta, negotiations between the province and the Teachers Association have fallen apart. Jordan Canagan has more on this, and Jordan, both sides are pointing the finger at each other.
Ian, they are, and both sides have tools at the ready if things should escalate as well. CTV News has learned that the province's negotiation team has voted in favor of the right to lock out teachers if things get to that point. And of course, teachers can issue a strike notice as well. Now, we don't know exactly how far apart these two sides are, but it's far enough apart that they have broken off talks, at least for now. The Alberta Teachers Association saying the latest offer does not go far enough in addressing major classroom issues that have persisted here in Alberta for years. Now, the province says it's offering a 12% wage increase over 4 years, something teachers already voted against in June. New in this round, though, the government also proposing hiring 1,000 teachers in each of the next 3 years. Teachers Union says it isn't good enough to retain and attract new teachers as classroom sizes soar. Teachers are in a position to issue a 72-hour strike notice at any time, but the union says they expect school to start as normal next week.
I'm not sure what's happening, but we cannot and will not play politics with our kids. Our government is ready to hire thousands more teachers, invest hundreds of millions into the classroom, and increase teacher pay.
The workload has increased, the expectations have grown, class sizes continue to soar, and the pay has barely moved.
Alberta's finance minister today also pointing to the projected $6.5 billion deficit here in the province and saying that he does not see that offer changing. He also didn't rule out any back-to-work orders if teachers do choose to issue that strike notice. Now, the ATA has until October 7th to start any type of job action if that is the path they choose to go down. Ian?
Jordan, thanks very much. The Edmonton Public School Board is the first to release its list of more than 200 books it will be removing from its libraries. It follows the province's order for all Alberta school boards to remove sexually explicit content. Mark Villani is live outside McDougall Centre. And Mark, this policy now has some prominent authors and educators wondering why a series of classical texts were included on this list.
Yeah, that's right, Ian. Removed from the shelves of Edmonton public school libraries will be books like Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, even iconic horror novels like Stephen King's It. Now, this list has the province confused, with Premier Danielle Smith saying that the school division here in Edmonton is overreaching and going too far. Instead, Smith says that her goal is to remove sexual and explicit content from libraries. She even showed some examples of pornographic material found in some graphic manga novels that were currently available in Alberta schools. Edmonton Public opposed the ministerial order originally, but went ahead with removing some classical books as well. It has authors like Margaret Atwood speaking out online, sarcastically posting not to read her book or else your hair will catch fire. Other authors on the list, like Jodi Picoult, also called the move disheartening and unconscionable to be deciding what kids can or can't read. Educators and librarians are also concerned over the censorship of literature.
The directives from the government seem to remove context, remove nuance, and create a set of directives that school boards are going to be scrambling with now.
We are trying to take sexually explicit content out of elementary schools that is inappropriate for me to show on the television news at night, and so it is inappropriate for 7-year-olds to see. Edmonton Public is clearly doing a little vicious compliance.
Now, Education Minister Dimitrios Nicolaides says that he will be talking with the Edmonton Public School Board as well as other school boards to refine this policy ahead of it going into effect on October 1st. The province says its aim here is to clarify just which books are exactly appropriate for elementary, junior high, and high school students. Ian.
Mark, thanks for the update. An 18-year-old man is now charged with a stabbing at the Calgary Stampede. 3 people were stabbed on July 8th near the Euro slide on the Stampede Midway. One of them went to hospital in life-threatening condition. 2 other victims were found off the Stampede grounds. Now, 18-year-old Irfan Mohammadi faces 3 counts of aggravated assault. Police say they searched the suspect's home and found a folding knife and clothing that matched his clothing on the night of the stabbing. They say cell phone video also helped their investigation.
It's very complex because most of the times when something happens, all the witnesses leave right away, and so we're chasing that. At the same time, with the prevalence of cell phones now and everybody taking video, that certainly assisted in this investigation, and when people contact us after the fact and provide us with the video they've taken, that certainly assists.
The suspect is being held in custody and will appear in court on Tuesday. The 2 men who drowned in Mahogany Lake this week have been identified by friends and family. 20-year-old Kaylin Escalante and 20-year-old Yagazi Ike Peters died Wednesday night. Social media was flooded with tributes for the 2 friends. Both men were part of First Assembly Church. Their bodies were recovered from the lake by a dive team. The church says it cannot express the heartache of their loss to the community. A crowdfunding campaign described Escalante as someone who is passionate about music, worship leading, and caring for youth through camps.
Loved by their mom and dads, their families. But yeah, definitely going to be missed by all of us. Our hearts go out to the families. We've been doing everything we can to come alongside the families to support them in this time of grief and tragedy, and we're just heartbroken.
This week alone, 4 people have died in Calgary area lakes. And the Life Saving Society of Alberta says the recent heat wave likely contributed to the rise in drownings. They're encouraging people to keep 4 things in mind as we head into a warm, long weekend. Wear your life jacket, never go alone, make a plan before you go, and actively supervise children. Yeah, so be safe out there.
Yes.
But once you're safe, enjoy the long weekend.
And a couple things said that safe on the water for sure, but also safe in the heat. This is a big heat stretch too. While we're not excessively hot at the moment in many communities, we're going to boost right back up in all communities. So heat warnings will expand once again, and many communities will either be at the 30-degree mark, if not very close to it. 27 degrees is the temperature at the airport in the city right now. Your 24-hour forecast is brought to you by 5th Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit 5thAvVW.com. And for tomorrow we have the chance of a little bit of instability. We had talked about this because we'll get that air pushed up the mountains. That could lead to thunderstorm activity from Rocky Mountain House down to Calgary. We'll still get to a high of 28, and most of the day will be mainly sunny. I'll have more details on that wonderful long weekend coming up, Ian.
Thank you, Danielle. These are no ordinary playhouses. Next, the Playhouses for Charity, bringing joy to kids and help for Canada's veterans. And need to see a doctor? Now you can keep your health care card on your phone. Also, if you have a news tip, text us at 10400. Ticket sales for a Playhouse raffle are slumping, and the Veterans Association Food Bank is appealing to the public for a boost. Veteran Wayne Lapointe hand-built 2 playhouses, one designed for boys and the other designed for girls. These are no ordinary playhouses. The structures are fully insulated, powered, and include toy boxes and table and chair sets. The funds raised support veterans and their families through the food bank's programs. For Lapointe, the playhouses are a labor of love.
It's something I've always loved doing since I was a boy on the farm. Grandpa would give us tools. My mom bought us Christmas present, just a box of tools, and let us have at her. And it just grew from there.
We've got such a plethora of things that provide for at-risk veterans or homeless veterans or veterans that just need help paying some of their bills or even putting food on the table.
Raffle tickets are available at the websites on your screen or in person at the Food Bank office on 28th Street Northeast. The deadline is Sunday at noon. The Food Bank also says donations are down 80% compared to last year. And of course, if you had a playhouse like that in your backyard, you could sneak in there and get a little shade. I don't know if it's okay for Dad to take a beer in the playhouse.
I mean, it's been done.
A beer and a lemonade, maybe.
Yeah, let's just say it's been done. People escape to the treehouse all the time, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Even the adults, yeah. I get it. I really do. It may be a little hot in that treehouse, though.
True.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best escape for the next 5 to 7 days. Here's your Skywatch weather cam. Look at all that blue sky, couple clouds out there. Some decent heat, 27 degrees in the city at the moment. And Brooks as well. Drumheller's sitting at that 30 mark. So really that hot spot is Drumheller in through Edmonton, where we're in the 30s, and even Jasper, Grand Prairie, Peace River in the 30s. This warm air is filtering down, so we can expect to be at least a couple degrees warmer for tomorrow in the city of Calgary. And for these communities where we had quite a drop for these yesterday and today, back into the 30s once again. So quite a difference from the 18 in Milk River now to the likely 30 tomorrow. Heat warnings in place. These will maybe expand as well, but basically every area is going to look at some excessive heat as we go through the coming days, especially during the day. Now further to the south, there may be a little more relief at night. It may be a couple degrees cooler in those overnight hours, so that counts for issuing the heat warning. Okay, here's that system stateside, mainly off into Saskatchewan, but creating that instability still here, pushing that air up the mountain. So we'll see some development tomorrow even from this. But the core of it is out of the way. For the BC side, especially closer to the US border, thunderstorm activity for the next couple of hours possible. And you can see these non-severe ones that are tracking down Red Deer, down the QE2. Less likely we'll see that as far south of Calgary. It will likely die out before it gets here. But we could see some cloudy periods at times from this in the city. And then we are looking at a whole lot of sunshine throughout the day tomorrow. Tomorrow later in the day, basically by 4 p.m., we have the potential for thunderstorm activity. Rocky Mountain House down through Calgary is where we have the greatest risk. And then a little more stable further to the south, Lethbridge looking at that potential for isolated showers. But in the city and up to the north, up the QE2, thunderstorm potential for sure for tomorrow. And they could be a little intense, some of these cells, because we have the heat and the instability. That could lead to a couple of storms that may even produce some hail. All right, futurecast for Sunday, that's it, nothing. Just sunshine and heat. Okay, not a bad Labor Day long weekend, I'd say. 28 degrees for tomorrow. Again, sunshine, much of the day will be very nice, but by 4, we'll notice the clouds increase, the winds may increase as well, and then we get into that risk of thunderstorm activity in the city and up the QE2. 29 degrees and nothing but sun for Sunday, so that will be a hot one for sure. And then Labor Day Monday, 29 as well. When you look at Tuesday of next week, 24, so a lot of kiddies off to school to kick off the school year. A little more reasonable by then, but after that we do bounce back to those high 20s for Wednesday and even Thursday of next week.
It's been promised for years, but this time the province insists Albertans will be able to ditch their paper health care cards. The province has launched a digital health card. Officials say it will be protected by strong encryption to prevent the theft of personal information. The card is now available on the Alberta Wallet app, which can be downloaded for free. Alberta's Medical Association says a digital health card is a logical move, given our province has the highest rate of cell phone ownership in the country. Those who prefer the paper version will still be able to use them. For more information, head to our website, ctvnews.ca/Calgary. A scientist at the University of Calgary has found early humans were slow to change their teeth as their diets changed. Anthropologist Vivek Venkataraman was part of a team that looked carefully at human fossils. They found it took evolution 700,000 years to catch up with the diets of early humans. They switched from fruits, flowers, and insects to grasses and tubers, but it took that long for people to develop the long molars that were ideal for chewing grasses, and now corn, wheat, and rice. Venkataraman says the study shows our ancestors were quite ecologically flexible. The Carney government says it has big plans for major projects across Canada. Just ahead, the decision to spearhead those projects from Calgary and the experienced CEO who will be the boss. Canada's economy is showing the impact of tariffs. Joining me is Robert Geary, investment advisor with the Popowich-Carmeli Advisory Group. Now, first of all, how did the markets close out the week?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting week here, Ian. I think the main points to make were the TSX hit an all-time high today, so that's a positive for the week. On the U.S. side, a little bit different story. We're starting to see a little bit of sell-off here across the board, but more on the tech-heavy side. We saw some big players, NVIDIA get hit again, Marvell, Chip Tech get hit again pretty hard here. So they closed out the week negative on that side, and I think that's on the back of a few things happening. We're in the last day of the month, so I think that's a big one. You get some rebalancing. Historically, September is usually a volatile one, so you start to get some, maybe some pairing off on some of the games that have happened this year. So we got a short week next week, so I think that's part of the reason why we saw a little bit of negativity on the U.S. side.
In the meantime, the Canadian economy contracts more than expected in the second quarter.
Yeah, it did, and the headline numbers don't look good for the Canadian economy, contracting 1.6% in the quarter since same time last year. But I think you really need to look under the hood in this number, and the Bank of Canada also is going to be looking at this very closely. And the main reason is that when you look under the hood here, in the first quarter, we had a lot more exports and a bigger rise in the economy than expected on the front running before these tariffs fully took place and hit. And so the second quarter, we didn't need to export as much because all the inventories, especially down in the U.S., were full, so you didn't need to export as much. So I think that's one that we need to look at. The other one here is the domestic demand. The spending was actually up here in Canada, so Buy Canadian was working. Internally, the broader economy was fairly decent. The headline number going forward for the next month looked pretty good. So I think this is just a glut that we're getting through on this tariff front running.
Robert, thanks very much. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too.
The federal government announcing today that Calgary will be home to its new Major Projects Office. The Prime Minister says the MPO will be headquartered in Calgary with offices in other major Canadian cities. It will focus on getting major projects built faster and attracting domestic and global funding. Trans Mountain Board Chair and former TransAlta CEO Dawn Farrell will be the CEO. Alberta's Premier had nothing but praise for that appointment.
And I count her as an advisor. So I'm very, very pleased that the Prime Minister and I have something in common. He's going to count her as an advisor as well. And I think it is important that they've then made the decision to headquarter it in Calgary.
The federal government says it will announce the first set of nation-building projects in the coming weeks. AUPE members are voting on a new collective agreement with the province. Members have from today until Wednesday to vote. Recommendations in the deal include a salary increase of 3% a year over 4 years and weekend shift premiums on evenings and nights. If most members vote against the agreement, a strike will begin before September 9th. The union represents more than 95,000 provincial employees. The Better Business Bureau is warning parents about sharing first day of class photos on social media. It says those snapshots can reveal more than parents may realize. Details like a child's name, school, or even a house number could put families at risk of scams, fraud, or identity theft. The Bureau recommends keeping personal details private, choosing generic backgrounds, and check your privacy settings before you post. Talks have broken down between the Alberta Teachers Union and the province. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. Talks broke off last night, but at this point, there's no date for a strike or a potential lockout. But with days to go before the start of a new school year, we'll hear how parents are reacting to this uncertainty. Also ahead, over 200 titles may be pulled from public school libraries in Edmonton following the province's order to remove sexually explicit material. Coming up, why Alberta's Library Association calls the policy a violation of children's rights. Ian.
Thank you, Tara. Alberta's pro-Canada petition group says it's optimistic it will collect enough signatures. Forever Canadian doesn't have a total yet for how many signatures have been gathered so far, but it points out its website has 550,000 views and there are 4,000 registered signature collectors. The group needs to have nearly 300,000 signatures by October 28th. The effort is being spearheaded by former PC MLA Thomas Lukazik.
We have federal conservatives, we have federal liberals, we have NDPers, everybody sitting at the same table strategizing and building this campaign, which I have to tell you, as a former politician, it's unprecedented. You never see this happen. So yes, it has become a movement. People are extremely passionate about being part of this movement, and we're building on it. But our goal still remains collecting 300,000 signatures, and that's it.
Lukazik says the group is working on a process to gather the petitions every couple of weeks. That will allow them to keep a running tally of how many signatures have been gathered. So, are you ready for the weekend? I'm sure lots of people are already at the campsite or they've fired up the barbecue in the backyard. And it's a beautiful night for it, 27 degrees. Danielle has details coming up. 3 days of heat and sunshine ahead of us, maybe a slight chance of a shower. Slight chance
Tomorrow. And I'm not going to lie, my focus here, and I'm guessing your focus here is we're already on Labor Day weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It's very hard. I mean, most
fast-forwarded.
Yeah, it's just so exciting. Summery weather for Labor Day long weekend, 27 degrees right now. Check out your long weekend. Yes, the potential for a late day thunderstorm after 4 p.m. tomorrow. Highs in those high 20s, lots of sunshine for Sunday and for Labor Day Monday as well. So a nice weekend to be outdoors. Drink lots of water though.
Thanks very much. Dozens of teams from across Canada and the U.S. are in Alberta for the Indian Relay Cup. The heats will be taking place tonight with races tomorrow and Sunday at the Enoch Park Racetrack just southwest of Edmonton. Organizers describe the Indian Relay as the Kentucky Derby meets NASCAR. This is the 5th year for this exciting competition. Thank you for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.